Director Oshii Mamoru's 1995 film, Ghost in the Shell, is a methodical and contemplative, speculative exploration of the evolving human psyche, unlike any animation to come before it. Its near-future setting is coupled with an impeccable tone that manages to be haunting without being bleak, cautionary without being dystopian, and surprisingly spiritual for a grounded science fiction film. This tone is achieved through world design that feels lived in, with naturally lit and colored locations, strikingly realistic character designs, scenes that give the audience time to think about the world of the film and the people populating it, and of course, the evocative score by Kawai Kenji. Kawai's score bolsters this alluring tone through a combination of meticulous and deliberate choices in its main theme, heard 3 times throughout the film. With that said, let's dig right into it.
I don't believe it. Thermoptic camouflage.
Like Akira before it, Ghost in the Shell's score eschews the standard sci-fi fare of using electronics and synths, but opts for something much different. The iconic opening of the film features scenes of Kusanagi's cybernetic body being constructed, coupled with the cue Making of a Cyborg, which is the first iteration of a song heard prominently throughout the film. Kawai's music drastically alters the tone of a scene which would otherwise just be interesting sci-fi world building, invoking a feeling of profound spiritual reverence. This isn't just a robot being assembled. This is the birth of a new, higher form of existence, unlike anything humanity has ever been able to achieve. Kawai represents this through a combination of disparate influences. Most notable is, of course, the women's choir, which was an uncommon sound to hear at the forefront of a film score in the mid-1990s. The vocal style and timbre of the choir is directly influenced by Bulgarian folk singing, especially that of the Bulgarian State Television Female Vocal Choir, who won a Grammy in 1990 for their album of folk arrangements, The Mystery of Bulgarian Voices, Volume 2. This Balkan vocal timbre is often referred to as white voice, and has a highly distinctive tone characterized by its sharp, bright intensity. In Ghost in the Shell, as in Bulgarian folk music, one section carries the melody while another sings a drone harmony underneath. The drone does not shift or adjust when the melody approaches it, creating clashes of a major second. One of the most common and distinctive harmonies in Bulgarian folk music. This is followed by a build into perhaps the most notable harmonic tendency of Bulgarian choral writing, parallel planing dissonances. Man, is that satisfying to listen to. This chord planes downward diatonically, with the E-flat descending a minor second and every other pitch descending a major second. This preserves the dissonant major second in the middle of the chord, as well as the outlining dissonance of a major seventh to a minor seventh. This cue isn't only inspired by Bulgarian folk, however. Kawai has stated his goal was to combine Bulgarian choir elements with traditional Japanese tonalities. To this effect, Kawai uses a variety of traditional Japanese scales. First is the Een scale, one of the minor pentatonic scales present in Japanese folk music. The Een scale contains 5 pitches with an interval sequence of a minor second, major third, major second, and a minor second, which sounds like this. In the third phrase of the cue, the Een scale begins with A as the root. The next 2 scales Kawai uses are present in the planing dissonant block chords mentioned earlier. The penultimate chord uses the pitches of the Een-cent scale, which differs only slightly from the Een scale by changing the highest interval from a minor second to a minor third. It sounds like this. And finally, Kawai uses the Yo scale, as a bright contrast to the Een scale, known simply in Western harmony as the pentatonic scale. This one should sound pretty familiar. Putting these all together provides for a surprisingly stirring and climactic moment in the song. All the while, the choir is backed by percussion instruments common to ancient Japanese classical music, or gagaku. Gagaku music was played in Shinto rituals as well as in the Imperial Palace in Kyoto. Much like in traditional gagaku, the percussion here mostly just keeps time, but given the historical context, they provide a sense of ancient spiritual significance and regal weight to the events unfolding on screen.
Major, are you there?
Yeah, I heard you.
I'm surprised you can hear anything. What's with all the noise in your brain today?
Must be a loose wire.
So what is all this noise anyway? What's the purpose of this musical blending of cultures in Ghost in the Shell? Why did I decide to animate this part of the video like this? Well, the Ghost in the Shell franchise has tackled tons of weighty concepts in the 30 years since Shiro Masamune's original manga released, but none more than the inevitable blending of humanity and technology. This original film approaches the concept in perhaps the most ambiguous way the franchise ever has. The combining of humankind and artificial intelligence gives birth to a brand new entity, free of the boundaries of gender, class, and ethnicity that have limited human capabilities for millennia. Similarly, fusing Bulgarian choir and Japanese folk creates something new out of two disparate but equally storied and complex musical forms. However, instead of choosing to emphasize the differences between human and mechanical elements in the score, Kawai chose two forms of music that really couldn't be more human. And that's just it. Oshii's Ghost in the Shell emphasizes that in such an advanced society, when it comes down to it, humans and artificial intelligence actually aren't that different at all. The only thing separating the two is the human concept of a soul, or ghost, which could only possibly reside in organic life. Or could it?
Neither modern science nor philosophy can explain what life is. I am not an AI. My codename is Project 2501. I am a living, thinking entity who was created in the sea of information.
Though the Puppet Master in some ways works as the antagonist of the story, it's the mere idea of their existence that causes Kusanagi to struggle with her identity and sense of self, providing the central conflict of the film. Does a being born from data, capable of reasoning, free thought, and the ability to experience desire, constitute as a living being? If so, does it deserve human rights? The film leaves much of this up for discussion, but the music touches on this in a unique and captivating way I have yet to discuss. The lyrics. Envisioned by Oshii and Kawai as a wedding chant, the text sung throughout the film is an ingenious way to represent the story's themes. The song is in Japanese, but uses a mixture of ancient and modern words to form unique-sounding phrases that emphasize the merger of old and new. It depicts a scene that sounds straight out of a folktale. Under moonlight, a woman is enchanted by the narrator's dancing. Witnessing a proposal of love, a god descends from heaven to bless the lovers' union. Roughly translated, the text reads, "When I danced, the beautiful woman became intoxicated. When I danced, the shining moon echoed. Proposing marriage, a god descends from heaven, and dawn approaches while the chimera bird sings." These lyrics reveal the plot of the entire movie, and they're heard in the first 5 minutes. Spoilers much? Well, not really, considering how abstract it is, but still. Analyzing the lyrics, the narrator and the woman in the song could interchangeably represent Kusanagi and the Puppet Master. Both are captivated by each other as they have something the other seeks. Kusanagi seeks knowledge to understand whether or not she was ever human, and the Puppet Master seeks to claim humanity by experiencing a mortal existence. In the penultimate scene, they unite under moonlight, where they share a sort of cybernetic intimacy. Acknowledging how alike they are, the Puppet Master proposes they merge their ghosts to produce a being that is both of them combined and a new entity entirely, much like a child. As the merger begins, Kusanagi sees a vision of a winged figure descending from the sky as if to bless their union. But the final phrase of the chant leaves a haunting message. The text references a chimera bird calling out before dawn breaks. This sounds strange because chimera is the closest English translation of the character Nue, but hardly tells the full story. Nue refers to a beast from Japanese folklore described as a chimera of a monkey, snake, tiger, and tanuki, with the eerie call of a bird. The Nue also represents a being whose true form is unknown. So, in a sense, Kusanagi can be described as a Nue after merging with the Puppet Master. In ancient Japan, the call of the Nue in the night was seen as an ill omen and even prompted members of the royal court to pray in hopes of avoiding disaster. This context greatly shifts the meaning conveyed at the end of the song. Is this union one of divine providence, or an ill omen? Is the blending of humanity and artificial intelligence encroaching on the realm of the gods? In the Japanese version of the film, a beautiful rendition of this theme accompanied by a string orchestra plays over the end credits. In this version, a vocal soloist reveals the end of the chant, singing in ancient Japanese a phrase that roughly translates to, "Distant gods, grant us your blessing." This line rings so powerfully at the end of the film. It's as if Kusanagi and the Puppet Master are calling out to the gods to affirm their existence as living beings, blessing the fruit of their union. To contrast, in the English language release, we got this for the credits. Thanks, Bono. Thanks so much for watching. I had originally planned for this to be a video covering the music of the Ghost in the Shell franchise, but once I started digging, I just found Kawai's score for Oshii's film to be fascinating. Like the film itself, there's so much to unpack, even in a score as seemingly sparse as this. I'd still love to cover Standalone Complex in the future, because Yoko Kanno is a god, but I'll save that for a video down the line. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up down here and subscribe for more Cel-Shaded music theory. Also hit that bell to get notified when I release new videos.
The net is vast and infinite.
Thanks again, and I'll catch you all in my next dorky rant about why I think music is so dang neat.